Okay, so with a plumbing question, what you're basically going to be asked to outline is what's called a single line diagram. And usually what they ask you to do is to show how the radiators would be plumbed from the outside up to the hot water supply upstairs in your hot press, and then to the rads, and how that would be controlled as well. So what you should do starting off this type of a diagram is you should put the basic components in place first. I'm going to start off by just putting a boiler outside. The boiler is basically usually oil powered, but can be gas powered either. And it's the object that actually heats up the water for you. So it does that by burning the fossil fuel, whatever is in question, heating the water up, sending that upstairs and supplying your water for your radiator. So if your boiler, and that's outside. What you have upstairs, usually, it's in the attic, or if it's in a two-story house, it's in a hot press, is what's called your hot water cylinder. So just label that up as well. Now there has to be some sort of a system joining those together. So you have what's called an enclosed loop of water that flows through the pipes, and it joins the boiler up to the hot water cylinder. Now the water that goes in these pipes that connects those two doesn't join up with any other type of water. It's just enclosed within that piping system. So it starts up down in the boiler house. The boiler is going to be obviously heating up the water because it's burning a fossil fuel to do that. It's going to be done in a coiled action to get the maximum amount of water into the smallest amount of space possible. And it's going to travel warm water up towards the hot water cylinder. It's going to loop around in a coil again, and then it's going to come down back down to the boiler slightly colder than it was when it entered. And again, that goes round in a constant loop. Okay, so that never mixes with any of the other water. Now, how it actually heats up the radiators is that within your hot water cylinder, you're going to have whatever the capacity of it is full of water. The next component to draw in would be to draw in your radiators. So you might have, let's say 3 is usually the diagram they ask for, downstairs and 3 upstairs. Now again, it's not an art exam, so just sketch them really quickly. And again, they're going to be piped up directly to the boiler, so they don't mix with other water. So from the boiler house, you're going to have a second system coming directly to your radiators. Now the old system was that it went from the first radiator and then to the second one and then to the third one and then the whole way back. But what happened was the third radiator would take ages to heat up. So what they now do is they join them up independently, so each radiator is getting the heat at the same time, and they'll all heat up universally. So you'll have a coil first of all coming out from the boiler, and then it's going to split. So it's going to concentrate on the downstairs radiators, and it's also going to concentrate on the upstairs radiators. It's going to go individually to the 3 upstairs and the 3 downstairs. Now obviously if water has been passed to the radiators, there has to be some way of bringing it back because it's a loop system. So what you have then is a pipe work that's going to bring the water returned again individually from each of the radiators, and down and back to our boiler, and again downstairs, coming out of the 3 radiators and travelling back through the same pipe. Okay, so you have again your loop system here, which is heating that up all the time. So what you have is you have your radiators warming up from your boiler, and you have a hot water cylinder warming up from your boiler as well, both independent of each other. Now this hot water that's boiling up inside the cylinder is to be used for showers, for hot taps, for whatever the use may be. So that's what that used for. So if in the diagram you're asked to maybe include that, so maybe your basin, your toilet, whatever, that's going to come from this cylinder, hot water cylinder. Mostly taps would be the main use, but also a shower as well. There'll be an overflow tank coming from this cylinder, which will allow for expansion, or if there was any problem, the overflow of the water will go out through there and usually out the gable house or into the gutters or wherever it may be done individually on the house. So that's that closed system. Now what they'll also ask you for is to put in some valves, control valves, in appropriate places. What lads tend to do is they just tend to throw these valves all over the place without any sense, and they don't get the marks for them. So a control valve, the reason to have a control valve in place is to be able to cut off a supply of water to a particular area if necessary. It might be that the radiator needs to be serviced, there could be a hole in the hot water cylinder, there might be a problem with the boiler, whatever. You need to cut off the water supply for some reason. So the only times you'd need to do that would be, first of all, the major one would be with the main supply coming into the house. And the main supply is going to go directly into your system here, your boiler. So you're going to have a valve there. There's various different symbols you can use for the valve. The most common one, the most easiest one to remember, is just a circle with an X going through it. In sample answers you may see it as a circle with a triangle, whatever. It means the same thing. So you have a control valve to cut off the main supply water coming in. You're going to need a control valve to cut off all of the radiators downstairs. So where the system just begins downstairs, the hot water supply, cut it off there. You need the same thing for the upstairs radiator, so you're able to cut the entire system off upstairs if necessary. If necessary, you may need to cut the water supply off to the hot water cylinder. So again, you're going to have a main supply tap going into that, and we may need to cut it off. So that's the water being supplied for the sinks or the showers. You may need to cut that off if there was a problem with your cylinder. So another stop valve there. And on the outlet pipes coming out from the cylinder, going to your taps or going to your showers, again, you may need to cut them off. Now I haven't included showers or taps in this sketch, but if there were to be there will be some sort of a pipe coming out and a control valve on it, obviously. Okay? So I've 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 basic control valves. You will have valves on each radiator individually, but they're the ones that are actually built into the radiator, so you can cut the water supply off. But in terms of ones that you would install individually, they would be the main areas of concern. That's plumbing. So just think of it as a loop system. Everything that when water goes somewhere, it has to return. So there's a loop system going from the boiler to the hot water cylinder to heat that water up, and there's a loop system going from the boiler to the radiators, and they're independent of each other. So if it travels in one path, it has to come back the way as well. That's completely enclosed.